Welcome to an hour of HealthMade Radio. HealthMade is a community for natural health seekers where we educate people about common health conditions and share extensive research on the most effective natural health treatments and promote legislation that protects our health freedoms. A core concept belief is in the innate intelligence and healing power of the body, and if properly supported spiritually, emotionally, and nutritionally, it can find its way back to health. HealthMade Radio will bring you information from integrative health experts throughout the world. Check us out at healthmade.co. Health is what you make it. I'm Dr. Michael Karlfeldt, and I will be your host. Today's guest is Dr. Leigh Erin Connealy. Leigh Erin Connealy is a medical doctor and is a prominent leader in the integrative functional medicine medical field, taking the best of all sciences, including homeopathy and conventional treatments. She is a medical director of two amazing clinics, the Cancer Center for Healing and the Center for New Medicine. The combined 30,000 square foot clinics have become the largest integrative medical clinic in North America and visited by patients from all over the world, with 47,000 patients and growing. The Center for New Medicine focuses on prevention and internal medicine along with yearly physicals, autoimmune disease, natural hormone replacement, chronic issues, and everyone's favorite aesthetics. Dr. Connealy feels we must treat the whole person, the patient with a disease and not the disease of the patient, while determining the origin of the illness. Dr. Connealy created this Cancer Center for Healing because of the epidemic spreading of cancer. Patients receive scientifically based treatments and receive integrative protocols. She has created an acute awareness for the need of focus on cancer prevention, providing unique testing to determine the early stages of cancer, years before a scan reveals or is recognized. Through RGCC, genetic testing, for example, she and her skilled team can create personalized treatment plans for early to late stage cancer patients. She has discovered that many factors contribute to the disease process, therefore many modalities must be used to reverse it, and spending the proper time with each patient to allow for reversal of the disease. Dr. Connealy and her team of practitioners make this happen each and every day at her multidisciplinary state-of-the-art clinic while providing quality-of-life treatments. Dr. Connealy is the author of two books, The Cancer Revolution, published in 2017, and prior to that, The Perfect Healthy book in 2009, and has revolutionized the landscape of medicine. In 2017, she was named one of the top 50 functional and integrative doctors in the country. Dr. Connealy began a TV series as host of Dr. Detective TV, airing on the JUL TV television network, which began in 2018. Dr. Connealy has over 30 years of experience and offers the most scientifically and technologically advanced equipment and protocols at her clinic located in Southern California, Irvine. To learn more, you can visit her websites, centerfornewmedicine.com or cancercenterforhealing.com or drdetectivetv.com. Dr. Connealy, it's such a pleasure having you on the show, and I'm so excited to hear what it is that you do and how you're able to impact people's life day after day.
Well, great. Well, thank you for having me. It's, it's a privilege to get to do what I get to do. But I don't do it alone. I do it with a great, wonderful team, as you mentioned, because we have a team of doctors, nutritionists, energy workers, massage healers, all these kinds of wonderful people that make it all work. As you said, there are many factors involved with every disease process. Therefore, there's multiple modalities. And our clinic treats everything from cold to cancer. And we obviously try to do preventive, proactive, personalized medicine to prevent illnesses. But unfortunately, a lot of our patients come to us with already a diagnosed condition, such as stage 4 cancer. And so we have really accommodated and grown such a facility that we just do the most innovative treatments that are available worldwide. And we do everything. The first thing Hippocrates says is first do no harm. And now with the third leading cause of death in this country is medical error and medications and the medical profession in and of itself, we have to do a timeout and say, wait, illness and disease is not decreasing in any form or fashion. Everything is escalating at the highest rate, not only in adults but children. So we have to examine the paradigm of medicine that we are practicing on a regular basis. And so here in our clinic, we've treated now over the past 31 years, over 43,000 patients. So we've learned a lot. We've learned what works, what doesn't work, what kind of works, and what really works. And so, but we're doing things with on people that we know aren't going to hurt them. And I think that's the key thing, is we elevate the energy of the body. We help the body turn on its innate ability to heal itself. And so, but we really are trying to get patients to be proactive and preventive with themselves instead of waiting. But people think when they feel well, they're just, everything's okay. And, a lot of people get a physical a month ago and then are diagnosed a month later with stage 4 cancer. So blood work won't tell you. Most blood work will not tell you if you have cancer. So you've got to do other different kinds of testing. And we have the cure for cancer. The cure for cancer is prevention. The number one cause of death is heart disease, and the second is cancer, and they're about neck and neck. And the third is, as I said earlier, is the medical profession in and of itself. So, but we're in the era of information. We have all the information at our fingertips to change the whole way medicine is executed and delivered.
So what made you focus on building this cancer center? I mean, why? Obviously, it's the second leading cause of death, so just that alone would obviously drive you. But you could have focused on cardiovascular. You could have focused on a lot of things. Why cancer? And how is your center different than other centers out there?
Well, it started over 60-plus years ago when I was born, and my mother began bleeding when she was pregnant with me. I'm number 3 of 6 children. And they gave a drug called DES, diethylstilbestrol. And that drug, they found out 16 years later, caused cancer in male and female offspring. And so I started going to cancer hospitals when I was 16 years of age. And most 16-year-olds don't even go to the doctor, much less go to a cancer ivory tower like MD Anderson. So in that kind of place, it was a teaching institution. So not only did you go get PAPs and biopsies, but you had teams of people because they're teaching. So here you are, a little girl, and the halls of MD Anderson are quite daunting. It's a maze of hallways, and even way more so today. And so when I was in school at UT School of Public Health, and I did my thesis on DES. And then, of course, my whole life is how not to get cancer. And so after I finished medical school and I went to training at Harbor UCLA, and then I started seeing patients, and luckily I had exposure to natural eating as a child from my mom, but my patients were asking about all kinds of different treatments that I'm like, well, I don't know. I didn't really learn any of that in medical school and or training, because in training you're learning surgeries and you're learning medicines and you learn how to implement all of what you learned, the pathology and the treatment of diseases. That's what you do. And so in a clinic setting, that's not real life. The hospital and the medical system is more the end result of of people not getting primary care. And so I started to research a lot of the things my patients brought into me, and that led to an infinite pathway of new information that obviously I'm still learning today, because science today changes literally second by second. But what we have to do now is we have to look at the downside of every single thing that we are doing to patients. Like, for example, I had a patient today who is 60-something years old, 66. She had different surgeries and different this, and they put her on pain medicines, Vicodin and Percocet. Well, here she is taking all these drugs. Her boyfriend also has medical pain and things. He gets addicted to the opiates, and you're like, we just trade one problem for another problem. So every drug has one too many consequences. They all destroy the mitochondria, which are our powerhouse engines of every cell. So every drug, even things as simple as you think as antibiotics. So we have to think as physicians, because we're scientists, we have to think like, how is this going to hurt, destroy my patient's body? And would I take that myself? If I'm not willing to take things myself, how could I possibly be, having the patient do the same thing? And I've seen many a patient that has had complications from taking a drug, and patients dying from a drug. I had a patient, brand new patient I saw in the last couple of months. Her son, she comes to see me for breast cancer, but her son died from Adderall. So because the doctor was not paying attention to what the patient, I tell people, if you take Adderall, you must take natural things to support the brain and the nutritional deficiencies that Adderall causes. So this is not the way a doctor thinks, right? We don't discuss lifestyle of a patient. So if you don't discuss the lifestyle of the patient, and lifestyle is all encompassing, right? It's everything. It's their stress level, it's their work, how do they sleep, what do they drink, how do they eat, everything. Well, what doctors talk to patients about their lifestyle and their eating?
Exactly.
Like what? None. I never have met a patient that the doctor has discussed this.
No, and it's exactly what you're saying, is that they're just focusing so much on like the little tumor or like the little this or that, instead of looking at what is the environment that everything is in. I'm here with Dr. Connealy, author of The Cancer Revolution. Dr. Connealy, you have such an amazing cancer center there in Irvine, California. And one of the best ways to treat cancer is to not get it. Obviously, prevention is the biggest key. And, we're so exposed to toxins, get EMF, chemicals, things that disrupt our hormonal system, our liver, our immune system. What connections do you see between what we are exposed to, what we have around us, and cancer, and why it's becoming such a prominent disease nowadays?
Right. Well, Nixon declared war on cancer in 1970, and so we still have the war. It's just way bigger. So we've spent a lot of time, money, and energy trying to figure out cancer, how it works, how we're going to destroy it, and have made zero progress. The survival rate in 1970 and 2018 is exactly the same, about 2%. And so we should have long time ago said this is not working. But not only is it not working, but we're maiming patients in the process. And so, yes, you talked about what has changed in the last 50 years, really. A lot of things have changed. First of all, we have an abundant exposure of toxicity from everything we drink, eat, breathe, and put on our body. Not to mention the electromagnetic fields, okay? And there's lots of discussion about electromagnetic fields, and people say, I don't believe in it. Well, okay, there's thousands and thousands of papers. A Nobel Prize winner, Dr. Ole Johansson, talks about it. They have studies of brains. They have studies of everything. So I tell people, even it's only 50% true, we have a big problem. And people don't understand. I read a book that was written in 1939 by a famous oncologist, and the book was The Secret of Life. And this doctor explains the energetic aspect that every one of our cells are receivers and transmitters of energy. So when we take these energy fields around us, we're disturbing with the natural energy of every one of our cells. And so, therefore, we're creating basically chaotic energy forces around us each and every day. And then you add that to the pollution, and indoor pollution is worse than outdoor pollution. Then you talk about the water we drink that's all contaminated with pharma water and chemicals and heavy metals and, parasites, for example. Then you talk about our food that's been bastardized and changed and genetically modified and chemicalized, and so we don't even know what we're getting today. And then you talk about everything that we breathe, just everything that we breathe in our system. So, I mean, lung cancer today, most of the lung cancer patients are not from smoking. So very rarely do I see a patient that has lung cancer that has smoked. So, and then I think another area that has dramatically changed is our stress level. Our stress level today, what's expected of a human being and a human doing every day is outrageously ridiculous. Okay, to me, it's ridiculous. Things are going 24/7. No one's allowed to rest and be peaceful. There's just a constant commotion, and really, the average person is not really designed like that. And so we don't have the rest. So when we're sleeping, because of all the extraneous electromagnetic fields that are coming in through, then our own electricity, and then our unrest of the day. Think about it. So like everybody is constantly stimulated with social media. If you're on social media, I'm personally not on social media, but the average person is, and look what's happening here, there. And then if you look, the terror of the world is outrageous, and you hear unbelievable acts. Now, I know in the Greek and Roman times, yes, I mean, I used to translate Latin. They had, major battles, but what exists today, you're like, how can we, conceive of these tragedies, these horrific acts? And so that directly affects us, okay? Even though it may not even be our family member, it directly affects us. And so, today, people practicing rest and peacefulness and meditation is absolutely mandatory. It's mandatory if you're going to survive. And so that's why, and I see that, it's funny, I had a patient today, and she goes, my son, he's teaching me how to meditate, her 20-some-odd-year-old son. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is wonderful that a 20-something-year-old is saying, Mom, you need to meditate. She has stage 4 breast cancer that's getting worse from her conventional oncologist. And so, it has to change. So, but I do see, because I'm on the front lines, I've been doing this 31 years, and I talk to patients intimately, as well as obviously I speak and I do doing this podcast and everything, but I see the trends. So about 5 years ago, I started seeing patients. I said, okay, so you've been diagnosed with cancer. What was the first thing you changed? Hands down, 100% of patients, you know what they all said? No. I changed what I ate. Yeah. So that means we have hope, okay? Because that means, now, and what it means is subconsciously we knew we were eating bad, but we decided consciously to eat bad.
Exactly.
And so now, and today I had a young girl that came to see me with these very unusual welts on her legs, and so I've been trying to figure it out. And so I was telling her, because she wants to get pregnant, and I said, look, we need to get you on a good plan of, she's drinking almost a bottle of wine a day, and she's eating weed, and she's eating sugar, et cetera. Well, today she came in 20 pounds less, no wine, no off wheat. I mean, she says, Dr. Connealy, I feel amazing. And you're doesn't everyone want to feel amazing? This formula is not that complicated. Exactly. And when you think about it, I'm like, this is really not that complicated. So you're going to trade feeling like crap to feel amazing? whoa, what is going on here with our consciousness when you think about it, right?
And it just shows our addiction to this garbage food. We're willing to trade feeling great and amazing just for the momentary pleasure of eating ice cream or having a glass of some alcohol or eating gluten or whatever it is. We're willing to create that trade just because it's easier and it's at immediate pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the immediate. Our dopamine rush needs to happen.
Exactly.
So, and that's addiction. I mean, addiction is prevalent. There's legal addiction. Food is a legal addiction.
Exactly.
Drinking's a legal addiction. Smoking is a legal addiction. So I tell people it doesn't matter if it's illegal or legal. It's all going to have impact. And so we're trying to fill this vacancy or void in our system. And I always use in my talks, people are real good about taking selfies, but know nothing of self.
Yeah.
And that's what we all have to learn. If one thing if I could undo rearing my children, I would have said, well, I was good about getting them quiet and peaceful, but I didn't teach them how to meditate, which I tell every mother, definitely lay down with your children, play the right music, just do deep breathing, those simple little things, And then the other thing is about understanding their self, their true self-realization. And do you know a Dr. David Hawkins who wrote the book Power versus Force?
Absolutely.
I just listened to if you listen to his tapes and if you read his books and you watch his YouTubes, I mean, he talks about this. This doctor was a psychiatrist who had the busiest practice in New York. He used to work with Linus Pauling, and he had 60 employees years ago. Well, for a psychiatrist to have that many people, he must be really amazing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, but he didn't do it with drugs. This guy did not do it with drugs. He did it with that to getting people to understand self and to really understand consciousness and enlightenment. And so anyway, I just ordered his most recent book, and so I'm not sure what year it was in, but I know it's recent. So, but it has 5-star reviews. But that's what it is, because I feel like we're all going through life and not really understanding the true essence and the true meaningfulness of existence and how amazing every single human truly is. Exactly. If we just would get out of our way and truly step into that greatness.
Well, we'll take a quick break, and I want to explore the emotional healing component a little bit more because it's such a foundational piece when we come right back. You're listening to HealthMade Radio. I'm here with Dr. Connealy, author of The Cancer Revolution. Welcome back to HealthMade Radio. You're here with Dr. Michael Karlfeldt and Dr. Connealy. Dr. Connealy, one of the things that you're mentioning is the importance of connecting with the self, seeing yourself, giving the example of all these people taking selfies, and it's almost like they're viewing themselves through the appreciation of the social media of their own selfie. So they really don't know who they truly are, and it's that connecting with the self that seems to be the foundation of whether we're healthy or not healthy. What are your thoughts in regards to that?
Well, it's so great that you mentioned that because we know it's been written for years. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I remember our local paper, Baylor College of Medicine, talked about that 80+% of illnesses were related to stress. And now, then I heard recently, just in the last month, that I saw that 95% of illnesses are related to stress. Well, what doctor is talking to? Another thing was what doctor is talking to patients about stress? And I would tell you that is probably the single greatest thing that every single person should address in their life. It doesn't matter if they have an illness or they don't have an illness. Mastery of self, which is under construction all the time, is probably the single greatest thing you can do to help yourself.
But these stressors, these stressors are not just, a person thinks, well, I'm stressed, I'm working hard, and And yes, I mean, meditation then becomes crucial and kind of limiting the amount of time that you're working and taking a little care for yourself. But also you have these emotional traumas or belief systems that are kind of like apps that are running on your computer that's sucking energy out of you, that in itself is creating stress as well. Is that right?
Right. Well, we operate out of our subconscious, so that's not what we're not aware of that. And then they say from in utero to 5 years is where you experience your single greatest emotional impact. Well, who knows what happened to themselves at 1 year of age, right?
Exactly.
Or think about it. And what was their birth like? Like, do people ask, like, hey, what was my birth like? No one even asks that, right? I mean, think about it. But that is when your most serious impact is from birth, meaning preconception in utero within your mom, to 5 years of age. And then, let's face it, I would say every family is dysfunction. And so we have to find the function in the dysfunction. But we just go through life never prioritizing the emotional well-being of every single person. If you look at the definition of health, part of it is physical, mental, emotional well-being.
Absolutely.
Okay? But what doctor is talking to, like in my questionnaire, it says, do you have anxiety, do you have stress, do you have this, and so forth and so on. And so you're going, the first thing I do with every single cancer patient, I tell people it's the 3 E's: emotional conflict resolution, learning the science of food and how to eat, and then getting your energy flows working for you. And so in that order, by the way.
Yeah. Because
we know that a stressful thought becomes a physical manifestation in the body, some way, somehow. And if we could, and we have to work with someone, because how are we objective of ourselves? We can't be until we go and talk it out. And the person says, oh, well, look at this and so forth and so on. So we've got to have, that's why community is the single greatest factor for people living a long time. Because you have your community of people who unconditionally love you, and you can say, oh, you can have discourse with them, and they can walk you therapeutically through it. Think about it.
Absolutely.
And so there isn't any, and I'm not talking about disease communities. I'm talking about your living community, like all your friends, your friends, your loved ones, the people who you decide to be your loved ones, and you get rid of people who are not good for you. You get rid of them. You focus on the people who love you unconditionally. They're not judgmental, and they are uplifting, energizing to you. And they can help you navigate through difficult situations. Because life is always going to have challenges. I tell people there's no solutions if there's no problems. But we need to work, like here in our clinic, what we do is we have a physical person that we have a patient talk to, or we do something called evox. So we use your voice, and the voice is patterned on a computer, and it shows your brain, and it shows very fast where the unresolved emotional conflict is. And so we can quickly get to the root of things, as opposed to a lot of people will go to therapy for 2 years. Well, you shouldn't have to go for therapy for 2 years. You shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to quickly work with someone, but they have to be schooled in this. They have to be schooled, and as you know, emotional, psychological education is changing, and the tools that we have are changing. And the bottom line to everything is love, love, love. Period.
Absolutely, yeah.
Love is the medicine for everything. It's amazing. I walk in a room, I hug the patient. They think it was the best thing since, they've ever had. So it's so important that we all learn to love each other, be empowering, and being encouraging. all the time.
Exactly, feeling connected and feeling, like you said, you have that community support, so that no matter what, you know that there's a whole group around you that loves you for who you are, and that way you don't have to become somebody different. You know, obviously cancer is a different type of energy where you feel that you're not enough, and so then you create a different part of you, which is kind of like emotionally what a cancer is.
Right, that's exactly right.
So the emotional was one of the E's, and then you mentioned that eating. What are some of the kind of nutrition superstars or dietary directions that you strongly encourage for a patient dealing with cancer?
Well, that's a great question, and I'll make it simple and easy, because a lot of people make it very complicated, and I will tell you there's no one-size-fits-all for eating for any one person, all right? But there's some cardinal rules. Get off deadly sugar, because sugar is bad. I don't care how you slice it. There's lots and lots of research and proof on that. And then the other thing is get off unfavorable carbohydrates that act like sugar, for example, bread, rice, pasta, and potatoes. And so, not that you can never have a potato, but if you have a sweet potato, have half of the sweet potato. Now, pasta is basically just sugar in another form because it's a complex carbohydrate. Fat is your friend. Fat is good. Good fats, coconut oil and ghee and avocados and olive oil and nuts and seeds are all great. Protein you need because it means of utmost importance. And so, but there's all kinds of proteins. There's all kinds of protein: meat, chicken, fish, eggs, raw dairy, and protein powders. So I always tell people, as a doctor, you need to look at the patient with the problem, not the problem with the patient. And sometimes you may not know exactly what program to put the patient on, and every doctor should have a nutritionist dietitian to work with so the patient is walked through, because you're unraveling what they have learned over 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. When you think about it, they've eaten a certain way all their life. That's all they know. So now you're re-educating them psychologically and physically, okay? And so, because there's a psychological component to eating. And so we have to slowly walk them into this new life. And I always kind of believe in taking one meal at a time. So tell us what you like for breakfast. What is your ideal breakfast? And then explain to them, well, if it's a donut, let me tell you why that's not going to work. So let's figure out, let me give you some other options. What else do you like? So anyway, so you work around the needs of the patients, because some people are very quick to change. I will tell you that most cancer patients, they will literally do anything. They pretty much will change their entire lifestyle. They're facing death's door, so they're willing to do whatever it takes. Now, in my book, I talk about ketogenic, but I do talk about other eating plans. I talk about fasting. I talk about ketogenic. I talk about juicing. I talk about all different things. And personally, myself, I've done lots of different eating programs just to experiment to see how I feel. Because if you feel great within 72 hours, I tell people it takes about 72 hours, 96 hours, you know how you feel on an eating program. And then if you don't feel good, like not everybody is a candidate for ketogenic. Not everybody is. Not everybody can do it. And then there's extreme ketogenic, and then there's modified ketogenic. So, but we know that sugar is usually not our friend. 80% of the population is pre-diabetic or diabetic. We know that sugar weakens every cell in your body, every single cell. We've analyzed this microscopically. We absolutely know with certification that cells are damaged, weakened, and not working for you. You don't have your team working for you when you have sugar. So, and when you have high sugar, and unfortunately so many people have high sugar today. And so does the doctor address the eating? No, they just give medicines or insulin. So never entertain the patient in changing their lifestyle. And so this is just disastrous. And so every doctor needs to go back and learn nutrition and every kind of eating, paleo and keto and macrobiotic, etc. I mean, I've studied every single eating plan. So every doctor should be doing that, and then partnering with, like, we have wonderful health coaches and nutritionists that can really walk the patient through the eating. So I tell people if it's dead, it's probably not going to give you that much energy. Now, believe it or not, like I'm personally a meat eater, but I grew up like on liver because I grew up in the South, and my mom was made liver and onions. But liver is like a really, really life-saving food, especially if it's raw, especially if you're really, really sick. Raw liver is very good. It's going to make your red blood cells super healthy and give you great energy. So if I want to resuscitate somebody's energy and their hemoglobin's low, I will tell them, sometimes for the wimps, I give them liver pills, and then for the patients who want to go for it, I give them liver. And so we know that 100 years ago when people were hunting, what did they do? They went and hunted and ate the kidney, they ate the liver, they ate the organs to fortify themselves because that's all they had. There were no drugs think about it, there were no drugs 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
Which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
And so we used, but people moved all day. They ate what they hunted and gathered. That's the way people lived. And so we don't do any of that. So now we're living in this industrialized, technological, advanced society. So now we have to learn how to live in this new world that doesn't physically work for our system, if you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. And what's interesting with the ketogenic, you have the intermittent fasting, which is, something that you naturally did in the past because you didn't have food available all the time. So that's kind of how we are set up to function, is to let the system rest in between. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I'm here with Dr. Connealy, author of The Cancer Revolution. Welcome back. You're here with Dr. Michael Karlfeldt and Dr. Connealy. You're listening to HealthMade Radio. Dr. Connealy, you guys are doing such amazing and cutting-edge holistic integrative therapies there at your center. Can you just kind of give the listeners a feel of some of the things that's going on over there?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I call it the Disneyland for medicine. And so, and honestly, if you come here, and I invite anyone to come here and just come and visit, even if they're not sick, and they just want to see how medicine is healingly delivered. And so, yes, it's amazing what we have. So when a cancer patient comes in, or even not a cancer patient, like, for example, if I'm going to prepare a patient for surgery, I do hyperbaric oxygen with IVs. But if a patient has cancer, so we do the most cutting edge. So we do everything from special IVs, we do low-dose chemo, we do hyperbaric oxygen, we have pulsed electromagnetic field, we have sound therapy, we have hyperthermia, we have biosound therapy, we have hemosonic lymphatic drainage therapy. It is amazing. And everything, there is no downside or risk or side effects from anything other than the low-dose chemo, which is 10% of the regular dose, which has been around for about 70 years. And so we create this synergistic treatment protocol that enhances the body's ability to heal. So, and if you get my book, you'll see the cutting-edge therapies we have, because we use very sophisticated laboratory testing, and we do very sophisticated treatments. A lot of it's in my book, and whatever isn't, I'm either speaking about it at a conference, or we put it out on their website, or they come in and they hear about it.
And which website would be the best one for the listeners to go to?
Right. Well, if they want to stay in touch, because we do a Facebook Live every Monday at 4 o'clock, I would tell them to go to ConnealyMD.com. And everything is there. So because our goal here is to reach 1 billion people, how to master self-care to prevent the cataclysmic decline of health today.
Yeah, exactly. And because there's so many stressors that we're dealing with, and that is why we're seeing this explosion of all these chronic diseases, autoimmune cancer, cardiovascular, diabetes, all these metabolic diseases. It is important then to look for a more comprehensive solution, because it is a more comprehensive assault that we're dealing with. I'm so grateful to have had you on the show, Dr. Connealy. You're just a wealth of information. I truly urge all the listeners to reach out and check out Dr. Connealy's website and absolutely read her book. I have her book. I read it. It's filled with easy to digest but still intriguing and cutting-edge therapy. Thank you so much, Dr. Connealy.
Well, thank you. It was great to be on the show.
Thank you. It was truly a pleasure. So for all you out there, remember to connect with us at healthmade.co. Health is what you make it.